Hello everyone and welcome to another Sovereign Citizen Watch. How's everyone doing? Hoping you're having a wonderful middle of your week so far. If you didn't see the video from James Janney, the documentary that he's been working on for like a year that I'm in, came out, so make sure you check that out if you get a chance. It's a two-parter. I'm in part one. I think I'll be in more of part two because it's Bed Bath & Beyond related and that's what we talked about most of the time. But I'm in a decent bit of this first episode, so if you want to check me out in that, go to James Janney's channel on YouTube after the stream. And yeah, I think that's about it. We're still working our way towards the next costume month, so if you want to help get towards that, use the tip link. It's September, so subscriptions are 30% off. And we are doing a patron-only stream / member-only stream after this one. So if you want to be a part of that, join the Patreon at patreon.com/HannahReloaded or become a member on YouTube. Either way, you're invited. So yeah, let's get into it, shall we? I do have videos where we're going to talk about this organization that I find interesting called Tactical Civics. That's basically a militia movement with some SovCit stuff included. But before we get into that, we'll give people a little bit to get in here. We have some kind of normal SovCit videos to watch. Just a couple of these, and then we'll get into the Tactical Civics stuff. So, cool beans. Another person tried for a third time to TOS violate Trump again. Any certain level of patron you gotta be. Any paid membership. I don't know what the minimum is on Patreon, if it's like $1 or whatever. Whatever the minimum is, as long as it's a paid membership, it counts. Procagom says, ah yes, but what happens if we're both patrons and YouTube members? You just still get in. It doesn't cancel out. Oh good, PK lost. Congrats. I'm glad it went well. Hooray. Orion Cooper says, I'm upset I missed the alien channeler calling me an evil entity yesterday. I must defend my good name. Well, you can now. By the way, I got the Oreo Coke Zero. For those that aren't familiar, y'all know I'm very into Coke Zero. They have Oreo Coke Zero. I'm into it. It's a little bit chocolatey. What was the YouTube channel? James Janney. James space Jani. Oh, that's particular. Have I tried the Coke Oreos? I have. They're not good. They're not good. The Oreo Coke is good. The Coke Oreo is bad. To be clear, the taste is okay on the cookies, but they kept giving me a stomach ache. But yes, the Oreo Coke is good. It mostly tastes like vanilla Coke, but with a little bit of like a chocolatey sweetness. Honestly, not bad. Pretty good. Anyway, with all that out of the way, we can go ahead and get right into it. So let's watch our first SovCit video.
Being violent.
Oh, shit! Get out!
Why am I
Spoilers.
being pulled over?
Step out and I'll tell you.
No, we don't feel safe, man. Like,
Step out.
what's the reason?
What is
We
the
didn't do
reason
anything.
for being
out.
pulled
What's
over?
the reason?
I didn't do anything, sir.
Yeah, you did. Step
Your lights
out.
are on.
Step
That means
out.
it's an emergency. This is a traffic stop.
Step out.
This is a traffic stop.
Step out.
What is
Sir,
the
we're not
reason
trying
for
to
being
do
pulled
anything.
over?
They believe that they need an emergency to turn their lights on. They think they can't turn their lights on for a traffic stop. They are incorrect.
Your lights are on, so that means it's an emergency, sir.
Step out.
Sorry.
I'm not telling you again.
Would you please be able to list your reason?
Step out.
You have to list your reason. We can't just
You're
get
not the
out.
driver,
Thanks, Italian Shakespeare.
okay? Step out of the truck.
What is the reason for
Now.
being pulled over?
I'm not.
You're not doing anything wrong.
Step out.
Oh, also, sorry, this is on topic because someone brought up the Toku thing. Someone sent me... wants to come out. Someone sent me Gridman and Space Sheriff Scheider, so I now have the entire Space Sheriff trilogy, along with Gridman. Thank you, people who sent me a bunch of different Toku stuff over the last month. It's been really nice, and I've really appreciated it. It's been like a little Christmas, you know, once or twice a week people have sent me things. Very nice. So that's cool.
What is the reason for being pulled over? He doesn't have to step out. There's no
Step out
reason.
now.
You have to explain why.
This feels unsafe. This
Step
feels
out.
unsafe. There's
That's an order.
You're not
But-
telling him
but
why.
There has to be a reason for detainment.
Step out now.
There has to be a reason for detainment.
Step
What
out.
is the
I'm not doing it at
reason?
All you guys are going to go to jail.
For what?
Obstruct.
Obstruct what?
Step out now.
Obstruct what?
I believe this was a case where they were refusing to give identification. The driver refused to give ID at this traffic stop, which you're not allowed to do as the driver.
You were stopped for 47 miles per hour in a posted 30 mile per hour zone, right?
Oh,
That's a traffic
so they were allegedly going 17 miles over the limit. That's not great. Saint Sanguine, thanks for a whole year. Happy anniversary.
infraction, therefore he has a violation to stop.
Where was I going 47?
Yo,
How does speeding?
Step out.
How does speeding warrant detainment?
that's the reason for the
How does
detainment.
speeding
You just said I
warrant
wasn't the
detainment?
driver.
You're not.
So why am I getting detained?
How does speeding
Am
warrant
I
detainment?
being detained?
Yes.
I'm
Why?
being detained?
Yes.
What's the reason? You have to state the reason for detainment.
I told you.
For what?
Okay.
You didn't tell
Get
us.
out.
You did not tell us.
Get out.
What is the reason?
Ma'am.
You can't.
You did not say a reason.
Step
You
out.
do have to
can't
tell
get
Hey,
us.
don't argue.
I'm playing games with you.
Look it. You can see it
Get
right
out of
here.
the truck.
You're good, Iggian.
We're not.
They're threatening to
Is
hurt me
he-
already.
Is he going to be detained if he
You-
steps
All
out?
of you are being detained.
Why?
I
Why?
told him
Why?
for speeding.
That
Detain?
is not
You're
right.
gonna
He's not
detain
doing
all of us for him
Yeah.
speeding?
You're interfering with this traffic stop, ma'am.
No, I'm not.
it. We're not.
I'm
You
trying
stopped
to
us
get
over.
clarity.
Okay.
You stopped us
I am
over
trying to
illegally.
get clarity because you're
You're not
threatening
even
us.
the driver. I don't need to be talking to you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's unlawful.
Go, hey, go.
Truck now.
He showed you his ID.
Right here, United States of America.
Get out of the
Passport.
truck. Get out.
Don't keep engaging with them.
I'm showing him the proof. He's not listen, looking.
Hey,
Get out
hey,
of the
hey.
truck.
It's okay, man.
Can- Please stop being violent.
There's that.
Get out. Now.
Don't fight him. Don't fight him. Don't fight him. Oh shit!
Get out of the car.
Don't fight him.
Well, that's cool, Spokane
Get out.
man.
Please don't hurt him. Please don't hurt him. Just don't hurt him.
Des,
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands.
Des,
Let me see your hands. My shoulder. I have a hurt shoulder.
wait, Des,
don't
Des,
fight him.
Des,
Don't fight him.
don't fight him.
Please,
Des, don't fight him. Des, don't fight him.
Please don't hurt him. Please don't hurt him. Please don't hurt him.
Des, don't fight. Des, don't fight. Des, stop fighting them. Des.
Right, but he wants the driver out so he can identify him, and he's not identifying him.
He had his ID right here. His passport was there too.
What are you reaching for?
Why?
My ID.
You need mine too?
In a second, probably, yeah.
Why?
Because you guys are all being detained right now.
Why?
For
Why
what?
are we being
Have you
detained?
seen
We
these
weren't driving.
speeding? Yeah.
We were not driving.
Okay.
So why would we be detained?
I'm gonna find out what he wants, okay?
Hey, Nemesaur.
What the fuck is going on, bro?
I need everybody else.
Go sit down for me, okay? Step back from me, please.
Am I being detained?
Yes, you are. Step back from me.
Why?
Because you're gonna run a canine around the vehicle for 3 years from now. Means you guys get out of the vehicle.
Sit down!
Got it?
Be okay. What are you doing? Sit down! I'm telling you, sit
That
down.
was a dumb one. Alright, I think we have... No, we can get right into the thing. I think we waited long enough. So this is an intro to Tactical Civics. This is an organization that I heard about vaguely. And then I came across on Reddit, someone was posting a flyer because in their city, this organization was doing recruiting. Apparently, they've been going all around the country to small communities and trying to shill this to people. It's basically militia stuff with Christian nationalism. Basically, it's taking over towns, trying to use sovereign citizen stuff along with good old-fashioned violence. Let's check out the intro video and this creepy Homelander-esque motherfucker. Saint Sanguine with 100 bits says, how do Sovsets not see that this is inevitably the inevitable conclusion to their conspiracy? No idea.
Hello, my name is Jeff Calhoun. I'm the Regional Coordinator and National Spokesperson for Tactical Civics. You're here to learn more about our mission, so for the next few minutes, I'm going to give you a basic overview of who we are and share some of our core values and strategic goals. Tactical Civics is a Christian, private member organization with over 5,000 members in over 1,300 counties across America. And our numbers are
How many counties are there in America?
growing daily. Our mission is the result of 45 volunteers investing over 80,000 hours of research and development to craft the
How many hours is that per person? 80,000 divided by 45? Let's see. 80, 1, 2, 3, divided by 45. That's 1,777 hours per person. Wow, that's a lot.
the only full spectrum
3,143 counties. Wow, so they're like half. They're in like half the counties. I'm sure that's nothing to worry about.
lawful, long-term, peaceful plan to arrest organized crime and corruption in our federal and state palaces.
To be clear, when he says that, he means anyone they don't like. The basic gist of this plan is to start their own grand juries, basically what Cataspinda was talking about. I don't know if you remember that, where just random posses of these people get together and decide, we want to arrest some people we don't like, and then their decisions are enforced by a local militia. Like, we're talking lynch mobs, basically, is the plan here, except he's describing it in a button-up collar shirt. Like, he's just, you know, he's just a guy at the office.
And even in our county and local governments. You see, friend, in our system of self-governance called popular constitutionalism, which the founders gave us, we, the people, occupy the highest office in government, above presidents, above legislators, above judges. It is in we, the people, collectively that sovereign power rests. And our elected servants are supposed to be at all times accountable to us as they execute the clearly defined duties that we delegate to them.
And they are. They're accountable through you getting to vote them out, or them being impeached and removed if they have done something grievously wrong. It doesn't mean you can get a posse together and throw them in your makeshift militia jail.
But that system has been captured, corrupted, and turned upside
Hey Amber,
down.
how you doing?
To the extent that we act like serfs and subjects, and our servants assume their offices with a pervasive sense of entitlement to rule.
Isn't that illegal? Yes. Yes, it is.
Like overlords of their own individual fiefdoms. Well,
It should be their fiefdoms.
it's time to restore sanity and the rule of law in America. To remind every person who holds an elected office that in American civics, we the people are the boss. So, the question that Tactical Civics has sought to answer is, how exactly did we get here? And what we've diagnosed are three fundamental problems that have resulted in the unimaginable degree of criminality and corruption that we're subjected to on a daily basis. And for each problem, we have a clear solution. The first problem is a spiritual problem. The second is a legal problem. And the third is political, but probably not in the way that we're conditioned to think about it.
A political solution, but it's not the way we're conditioned to think about political solutions. As I was listening to this last night, the longer he went on talking, the more creeped out I'd get. Like, this is literally just basically a brochure for Gilead from The Handmaid's Tale, I cannot express to you how much this is exactly what it sounds like. It is a guy and organization who is attempting to do a Christian fascist takeover of the United States county by county. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think he'll in any way be successful. He's basically just Morantz, but American and more competent. Or not Morantz, sorry. What's his name? He's a judge, we're fucked. Marcel. He's basically American Marcel, right? But still, he doesn't even have a cape.
So, the first problem. And really, this is where all of our problems begin. Friends, we in America, over the last several generations, have turned our backs on God. We decided that we didn't need to honor and glorify our good and gracious God, to seek His wisdom and guidance. Instead, we put man at the center. And we sought the glory and honor of man and determined that we would do things our own way. Well, God let us have our way. And He withdrew His hand of blessing. And right now, we are reeling under the consequences of His judgment. Here's the thing about spiritual problems. They are incredibly resistant to non-spiritual solutions. So, what's the solution? Well, it's simple. It's one word: repentance. And repentance is an action word. We have to confess our sin of apathy and inaction, of choosing comfort over calling, of ignoring evil, and neglecting the requisite duties of we who are responsible to preserve the liberties given to us by God.
It's annoying enough having people who believe that it's their righteous duty in order to, like, wipe you off the face of the planet if you're not enough like them, or to enforce their religious beliefs on you. But what annoys me more than that is the smugness with which they'll do it. Like, not only will they do it, they will act like it's a burden on them, and that it's really gracious that they've gone out of their way to force everyone who's different from them to conform to their particular beliefs. Like, not only will they do it, not only will they harm you, they'll act like they're doing you a favor, and that it's a great chore. It's frustrating beyond all comprehension, to be honest with you. I think we had to hydrate 1 second. Hydrate, can do.
That's why our first pillar in our mission in Tactical Civics is to honor Jesus Christ. In the words of Patrick Henry, the trumpet of liberty, quote, "It cannot be emphasized too strongly or too often that this great nation was founded not by religionists but by Christians, not on religions but on the gospel of Jesus Christ. For this very reason, peoples of other faiths have been afforded asylum and prosperity and freedom of worship here," unquote. So friend, today is the day to pray the one prayer that God will always answer. And it's simply this: God, search my heart and see if there be any hurtful way in me, and lead me in the everlasting way.
Bumble Homestead, what do you want me to wear for the hats off?
So the second problem that we've diagnosed is a legal problem.
Anything comfy and purple? You know what that means.
And it really is simple to understand. No one is enforcing our Constitution, which is our supreme law.
No, people are. You just don't like their particular interpretation of the Constitution.
For generations since Lincoln, we the people have failed to keep our republic. We've not enforced our Constitution, and the result of this has been rampant criminal violations of the Constitution by our elected servants. And we see it daily in Washington, D.C. And here's the funny thing about criminals: they never seem to arrest themselves. So, what's the solution? Tactical Civics is forging a movement, soon to be in every county in America, of a responsible, repenting remnant of we the people to implement Constitution enforcement. So we will do that by utilizing the two primordial law enforcement tools that we stipulate to ourselves in the Constitution. Through our two model county ordinances, we will have constitutional county grand jury and lawful militia operational in every county. You see, grand jury has always been a bulwark of the people against tyrannical and oppressive overreach of government. It was absolutely...
Unironically, Spokane Dogman, I've thought about reporting to the FBI. Because this is like fucked up shit.
Central in our struggle for independence.
Jaden says, I wonder if Lincoln did something that this guy didn't like, and other things that happened since Lincoln died that might be related. Makes you think, I wonder if all of their promotional material basically only shows white people, too. If only I had looked that up and noticed that their promotional material is suspiciously Caucasian.
And it's exclusively under the aegis of the people, independent of any apparatus of the courts. And according to one of the great American legal scholars and first Supreme Court justices, James Wilson, the investigatory scope of a grand jury is only limited by its own diligence. Tactical Civics.
So if you just missed that, basically he's saying we're going to get committees together and call them grand juries, and we're going to investigate and do whatever we want, and we're going to charge people with what we deem to be crimes, and then the militia that we're going to get together is going to go round them up, and we're going to punish them just 'cause.
Will restore in every county the constitutional authority.
Anthony Schuler says, I'm sure he's fine with tyrannical government as long as Trump is in charge. Oh yeah, a lot of their material is based on stop the steal type stuff. It's bad. It's real bad.
Independence and investigatory scope of the People's Panel, the county grand jury. And then we will help organize lawful county volunteer militia to, quote, bear the sword, unquote, for the grand jury.
To, quote, bear the sword, unquote, for the constitutional grand jury. Boy, he sure did try and couch that in poetic language so he didn't have to say the loud part louder than it already was. Peoplord says a lot of the people that this rhetoric and aesthetic would appeal to got deleted by COVID. True. Dillis Filler says, after all, it worked so well in the late 1700s. France. Robespierre. Robespierre. Robespierre.
We the people.
I better be on the fun side of the Reign of Terror this time. I don't want to be on the bad side. It's terrifying.
Will hold.
I want to be on the rain side, not the terror side.
Hold our elected servants accountable for criminal violations of the law. Now, finally, the political problem that's probably not what you think it is. Albert Einstein once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, but expecting different results. You see, we've been chasing solutions through election cycle political theater for generations.
Openly anti-democracy. Peoplord says Robespierre's first mistake was not wearing a turtleneck.
And far from solving problems, with each passing election cycle, we've seen the criminality of Washington, D.C. grow deeper and spread its tentacles wider over every level of government, both state and local. One of Congress's many crimes happened in 1929, when they effectively stripped representation away from the American people. Right now, in America, the average ratio of representation is 1 representative for every 750,000 people. There are some districts where 1 representative is representing nearly 1 million souls. Friends, that's not representation, and that's not what the founders envisioned, and that is one of our biggest problems. We don't have representation. Did you know that President George Washington spoke only 1 time concerning 1 issue at the Constitutional Convention? What was the issue that compelled him?
Overthought says, so a solution is not to expand the House, it's to burn the House. Cool, cool, cool.
To address the delegates when he was so reluctant to do so? It was the guarantee of small representative districts. It was this guarantee that's found in Article 1, Section 2, Clause 4 that led the framers as they drafted the original 12 amendments in our Bill of Rights to make the goal of preserving small representative districts the subject of our original first right in the Bill of Rights. But due to controversy in the state of Connecticut, after they had ratified this amendment, their notice of ratification was never delivered to Congress. As a result, our original first right, the guarantee of small representative districts, is still a pending amendment awaiting ratification. Now, in Phase 3 of our strategic plan, Tactical Civics chapters all over America will make their state legislators do their duty to ratify our original first right and restore small representative districts. For the first time in our history, the 31,000 small towns across America's heartland will finally have a voice. Now, I know that you are probably subjected to a daily dose of fear porn and the sky is falling hysteria. But let me tell you, you are
Oh yeah, Zolit, he's horrifying.
living in the very
Like, if anyone has ever dealt with narcissistic people who have, like, scary stuff under the surface, this guy sends all the red flags. Like, I don't know if this I don't know how blatant this is to everyone else, but this guy is horrifying.
best time to be alive. God is moving in the hearts and minds of everyday Americans to turn their hearts back to Him, to commit to do the work necessary to restore the authority that we the people stipulate to ourselves in the Constitution to enforce.
Where did I find this? I saw a flyer online for Tactical Civics because they've been doing meetings all around the country to recruit people. So I saw someone post on Reddit the flyer. So then I followed the information on the flyer to their website where I found this video, which I found on Rumble because it's easier to watch on Rumble than their website. And then I found more stuff about them from there. I just started doing research. Fenekigami says, to quote a polarizing leftist streamer, it's not enough to agree on the problem, you must also agree on the solution. This is Nazbol shit.
And to reclaim our original first right of small representative districts. Tactical Civics has a detailed 4-phase strategic plan to accomplish these very goals and more. I hope that you'll prayerfully consider stepping forward and rolling up your sleeves to do the chores and join our mission. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
That's a basic overview. Now there's a ton of videos where they're talking about different stuff and doing interviews about this, so let's dive into some of that. Some of the people are more charismatic than others, obviously. We have one of the founders. I wanted to cover him. This is his video on it. This is one of the founders, apparently.
Good evening. My name is John Lazoric. I'm a co-founder of a plan and an organization called Tactical Civics. The world is looking pretty crazy tonight.
A little bit of Unabomber vibes.
Depending, of course, on exactly where you look. I look at the trees and plants putting out their leaves, at the cows enjoying the new grass, at the tadpoles in the pond, at the soft, dark soil in the gardens that my sons and I are preparing for the seeds, at the birds carrying worms to their nestlings, at the sun and the rain, and I see the world humming along to the music of God's laws. Looking at the human world, not so much. Honesty, the truth, and our willingness to acknowledge it, even when we do not much like it, are our sometimes frail, but ultimately our only connection to reality, and therefore to God. And I do not see much of it in our human world today. I see rage, eye-bulging, spittle-spraying rage. I see absolute terror. And it's mostly all based on total denial of plain truth in front of the eyes, and on deliberate lies. We run from our own obvious responsibility to keep our own laws.
I'm 41 and this is deep. Gothgeek Gaming says, speaking of narcissism, my mother once used my sister's phone to say that my mother, was in the hospital as an April Fool's joke in June. It was an obvious attention-seeking behavior. Oh, that's nice. Jesus.
And our own safety and order in our own communities. We refuse the danger that sometimes involves, and we reject personal courage as outdated and unnecessary for most of us. We give that responsibility completely over to professionals. Then we wonder that they become a closed society of their own, contemptuous of us, and we wonder that they think, they lie to themselves, that the law is not ours and universal in its application, but their own property and tool, just like their guns and billy clubs. Instead of the obvious but scary truth that somebody is another complicated human being like themselves, they replace his humanity with a label like danger to officer safety and hammer him down like a nail sticking up out of the floor. In proper outrage, some of us then lie that force is never needed or justified to preserve life, peace, and safety. We lie that it is force itself that is the source of evil. Of course, then we are angry at the result that we ought to have known would come. Some of us lie to ourselves that the failure and loss and respectability of law officers is a failure of the whole idea of law. Throw it out, I'm getting mine. Nobody's watching anyhow. That's the biggest lie so far, isn't it, God? We lie to ourselves, some of us, and deny that respect and trust must be earned. We deny that freedom comes from self-control, and we just burn things.
Fucking monologue.
That's just the news from the past couple of weeks. Before that, we lied to
Are
ourselves.
all of these guys so yikes? Pretty much.
And denied that to get old and sick and die is the best any of us can hope for in this world. We lied to ourselves that experts know it all and can give us better advice from 2,000 miles away than we can figure out from the facts in front of us. We conveniently forgot that $1 billion
You gotta love the derision for expertise. That'll get you far.
system is interested only in protecting itself and not us. We lied about courage again and said, none of that for me. We even dragged out that old lie from the nursery.
I get the vibe that he considers the definition of act of courage to be act of violence. Feels like he's using courage as a surrogate word for committing political violence. Does anyone else get that vibe? Just saying, whenever he says courage, imagine he's instead saying acts of political violence, and I feel like it makes more sense what he's saying.
And believed that the boogeyman could not get us if we hid under the covers. We lied to ourselves that it was okay to let people too big for their britches take away our livelihoods and our worship and our freedom to move around and breathe the fresh air of God's green earth. We conveniently forgot Stalin and Mao and Hitler and Jim Jones and even George III.
That was a weird sequence of people in that order. You went Jim Jones, then George III? That's weird. A little weird.
Before that plague of lies hit, some of us were lying that safety lies in helplessness and that evil people will do as they are told. Some of us were lying that saying, "Pretty please," and arguing politely with the schoolyard bully will make him see the light. A few were lying that shooting them all will bring the peace and freedom and order and relative safety we all desire. Some are still saying that, and more seem to be joining them. Well, I've tried to give a very telegraphic representation or recapitulation of the news of the last few months, through the lens of the way our social habit of deception, or maybe I should say it, our persistent sins of dishonesty and laziness, mess up our world. The foundational concepts that we must not lose are that law is real. It is God's glue that holds the world together. Of course, God made two kinds of law. Physical laws that hold the stars and planets, the mountains and oceans where they should be, and work all the time and cannot be broken. Then there is moral law for mankind, and that, well, that also cannot in fact be broken, but unlike physical law, God lets us treat his moral law in different ways. We can choose to love and live by it, or we can choose to forget and ignore and flout it, and by these divergent choices make our lives and our world into something very close to heaven, or very much like hell. In the Garden of Eden, God gave our mother and father law, but no police. There was the law, and there were Eve and Adam. Eve had no lawyer to ask how to interpret what God had said and ask, did he really mean it that way? Or can I claim exigent circumstances or historical oppression or emergent need?
Oh boy. Phyllis Filler says, is he next going to offer $150,000 for, say, services rendered?
Nor were there cops to come running and wrestle her to the ground when she got too close to the tree. Nor did he put a force field around it or barbed wire. Nor did he simply place the lightest touch of his omnipotent finger on her brain or atoms to tweak their very bad decision the other way. God's law and free human conscience. Oh yes, let us not
He's saying that people should be allowed to do anything they want, and then just God will punish them later? Because that's the vibe I'm getting from that statement, is like, there were no police to stop Adam and Eve from eating of the fruit of the tree of the good knowledge of good and evil. Okay? First of all, it's mythological. Second of all, so?
Forget consequences. That is the pattern we are given. When we get together in societies, it gets a little challenging to figure out how to keep to the proper pattern. There will be people who choose to break the law and court the bad consequences. But out of respect for the God-given rights of the law followers, we want to restrict the bad consequences as far as possible to those who willfully earn them. So we make and enforce human law conformable to God's. We recognize that if you put yourself outside the restraint of God's law, you have also put yourself outside its protection. So we can use force against the lawbreakers. But if we are, here it comes again, honest, we know that we are on shaky ground, applying even God's law to anyone but ourselves. So we hedge our use of force against lawbreakers around with plenty of restrictions, lest we ourselves also cross that line. But the point that I do not want to stray from is that law is most fundamentally an intimately individual matter, a matter of conscience. It is not fundamentally a corporate matter, a matter for some specialist, not a commodity to be bought in from the lowest bidder. Most of us know the lesson from the Bible tale of the mugging victim and the Samaritan traveler. But the message that he is expected to help, the message that he that is expected to help is the one closest to the one needing help, does not only apply to humanitarian or medical aid. Not only did the Samaritan not dial 911 on his cell phone, he did not walk onto the inn before asking them to send someone back after the injured man. He did the service, what in Hebrew would be called the mitzvah, that God set before him to do himself. It is these godly principles that our founders designed into the fundamental law of our republic, and it is only the application of them that can pull us back from the abyss that seems to yawn before us. So let us go back to our first news snippet. If peace and law in the community where George Floyd was murdered by a gang of hired thugs, police officers, were kept by its own constitutional militia, George would now still be alive.
Oh, fuck off! Yeah, because famously famously, local militias, real cool with, like, I don't know, non-white people. Fucking hell, man.
Perhaps
I don't like that he's using the George Floyd thing in order to try and justify building up militias.
in jail and perhaps not. But his whole
You know who has less accountability than cops? Militias!
city would not be on fire. Militia is all of us. In
Ugh.
practice, at least most of us. And if the storekeeper where George may or may not have tried to pass a more bogus than usual $20 bill had recognized that the law was his property, not something he had to order in like a pizza, he himself, with the help, if necessary, of another militia member or two passing by, would have known by the evidence of their own eyes whether there was a problem, and if so, stopped it right there. Militia is the people of the community, not professionals paid well enough that they do not have to live in or come from the communities they are given artificial responsibility for. One of them would have known George and would have said, "Ah, George, don't you know better than to pass a bad 20? Or maybe, "Ah, that's George, his eyes are not so good. Probably somebody else gave him that bad 20, and he couldn't tell it was a bad one." Or even, "He's been a bad one for a long time, we gotta bust him." We don't know. But George's neighbors did. Notice that this is not about race. This is about local responsibility, about our own responsibility for our own communities, written into the Constitution, our Constitution, by dead white guys of all things. This is the law. And while we're talking about a bogus $20 bill, maybe we should mention in passing trillions of bogus dollars by means of which the earned property of millions has been skimmed for over 100 years. Our good old Constitution tells us what lawful money is, too.
Oh, they're gold bugs. Great.
No professional policemen paid by the counterfeiters or employed by their system are going to go after them. What about the virus, our second sample event? When the sheep hear the coyotes, they just stand there. When the deer hear, they run. When the farmer hears them, he runs too, but toward them with a gun. It may not be very useful to speculate exactly where the virus came from, but when we heard about it, we waited. We could, as individuals, have chosen to stay home, to close our own business, or keep it open, and ask our employees and customers to take precautions, or not. But we waited. We could have taken the numbers we saw in the news and showed them to a smart high school kid taking statistics and asked, "Can these conclusions really be drawn from these numbers?"
Oh, fuck off. I hate this man. Skifazoa, thanks for 41 months at tier 2, says, "I am the law." Also 41 months. Thanks for being the law, Skifazoa. Profane Priestess says, "Boy, it sure is gross that this person is exploiting a genuine tragedy for his own benefit." Benekagami says, "Sir, I'm bored. Can you get to the point? Also, the most evil among us are the most inclined to join militias. So if you have no screening process, a militia will inevitably be worse than the cops."
But we waited. I do not know how many governors actually...
Did I see Folding Ideas takedown of the principle? This guy fits into the idea that religion can take over smaller local governments to enforce biblical law. Is that recent?
panicked before imposing
I don't think I've seen that.
measures they had no lawful authority to impose, and how many just smelled an opportunity for the mother of all control freak highs. That too does not matter much at this point, but if the law and the security of our communities were in our hands as constitutional militia, then the screaming of the little Hitlers would have been merely another data point for us to use to decide how we would protect ourselves.
People who are concerned about the public health are little Hitlers.
Not a death knell for our economy, or even the end of our kids playing with their friends. The hirelings who have decided to leave their consciences in their lockers when they put on their uniforms and simply do what the fellow signing the paychecks tells them to, could be met politely but firmly.
The geocentrism one? I guess I don't remember that from that one. Jay's a proxy. What do you want me to look up in Black's Law Dictionary? Well-regulated or regulated? Pretty sure just regulated will be in there. Or at least regulation. Something along those lines.
Or at the doors of businesses that choose to continue serving their customers, and reminded of their oaths to the Constitution, and that we, the people, are the boss here.
Okay, but here's the thing. The public health is a thing, and you don't get to sabotage everyone else because you're a fucking idiot.
The guns and the grabbers. The issue that lit a lot of figurative fires before and after the beginning of the year. Weapons are a fact of life, a chain of historical inventions that will not go back in the box. We are not told.
We already invented guns, so there should be no rules about them. That's an interesting take. It's a bad one, but there you go.
What implement Cain used
We're almost there.
to commit the first murder, but people of ill will do ill, and good people good. In every community that does not kill itself off, the good people outnumber the bad. But the gun allows even a smaller or weaker person to defend her or himself against one or more stronger attackers, where that balance of power is locally or temporarily broken. And balance is the key. The good people must take care that it is never broken. They must never allow the implements of violent self-defense to be monopolized by any segment of society, whether
Regulation, the act of regulating, a rule or order prescribed for management or government, a regulating principle, a precept, rule of order prescribed by superior or competent authority relating to an action of those under its control. Regulation is rule or order having force of law issued by executive authority of government.
that segment is called Crips or Bloods or Medellin Cartel or the State Police or the U.S. Army. Our founders knew this too, and knew it well. Private ownership and use of weapons was so widely distributed in their frontier society that they scarcely felt need to address it directly. In fact, they only referred to it indirectly in the context of the people's ancient and totally democratic institution of collective self-defense and law enforcement called the militia. That is what the Second Amendment is really about, but here's the point. Our modern culture is rotten through with laziness, with cowardice, squeamishness, with the kind of inside-out snobbery that hands off all practical concerns to professionals. You can name and number the psychological or spiritual diseases as you will, but if these wrong and dangerous attitudes had not mostly captured our culture, gun control in the modern sense would be literally inconceivable. As for us, the concept of mobility takes the ubiquitous and unquestioned shape of the automobile, or maybe shoes.
He actually read the Bible. He'd do well to remember Romans 13:1. Is it render unto Caesar?
The shape of peace and safety from violence would be the gun in every closet and on a lot of hips. It would be the drills we all would be participating in on weekends. Somebody take them away.
Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been established by God.
Away from us? What? Why? What are you smoking? The law is God's gift to us, ours to live by, and ours to wield. Our lives and communities are his gifts too, and ours to defend together. That is the at-home message of our Constitution, and the animating spirit of tactical civics. Most of you listening probably know what comes next. We begin at the local level, educating and organizing our neighbors until we can restore in our counties the constitutional law enforcement our founders specified, our militias and our grand juries. When our state legislatures have seen the end of their monopoly of lawless power spreading through their states, county by county, they eventually will get back to their job of representing us, and will be ready to take back the power Washington, D.C. stole as much from them as from us by completing the ratification of the original first article in the Bill of Rights, small congressional districts, so that all of our country will have real representation, not just the bloated and decadent centers of power. Our new representatives will hopefully jump at the chance to pass our Bring Congress Home Act so that they can stay with their families and in their own homes while representing us. And our indictment engine will guide the physical power of our militias and the lawful authority of our grand juries to keep our representatives on the straight and narrow path of serving us according to our highest law. We say that tactical civics is comprehensive as well as peaceful and lawful medicine for our sick republic. Tonight I have tried to take 3 ongoing, very sore spots in our political and community life and show how our plans can heal them, if enough of us will stand up.
He's nuts. Let's see. Oh, I think someone did a song. God damn it. I don't know if this is gonna get me in trouble, but I gotta play this song. I can't not. This title is the title of County Grand Jury.
Well, my boy came home from school today with a look of frustration on his face. I said, son, sit down and tell me what's wrong. He said, Dad, I don't know what my gender is. Yeah, the teacher's been filling his head with. So I took the time to put his little mind at ease.
What the fuck? God damn it! Ah!
Yeah, we're letting go, we're letting pass on by while they strip our freedoms when we don't comply. So I got down on my knees, God, what do I do? Gonna start ourselves a county grand jury. Not a right, but a duty.
Okay, so is the implication that you're gonna arrest with the militia the teacher because your kid got taught about trans people? So you're gonna arrest your kid's teacher? Oh my fucking god! Ah! Very peaceful, very normal shit.
Throw out the corrupt. It's been plaguing all of us. It's gonna be an epic revival. Rekindling of a fire from the remnant that's been silent way too long. Can you hear the call, y'all? We are the only way.
This is fucked up.
Says right there in the Constitution, we are the way, the solution. Keep all those that work for us in check. Well, we've learned how to die, forgotten how to live, and we're so bound to the laws of man.
I don't know if this is an AI song. I don't think so. This was added, well, I don't know.
Can't see the freedom for security.
It doesn't quite sound like it to me. Like, usually AI songs have a quality to the vocals that sound a little artificial, and I'm not hearing it in the voice here. He stole the melody and he's just singing over it? Okay, I could see that.
Not me. Gonna start ourselves a county grand jury. Not a right, but a duty. Throw on the corrupt. That's plagued all of us. It's gonna be an epic revival. Rekindling of a fire from the remnant that's been silent way too long. Can you hear the call, y'all? We are the only way.
Oh, there's a guitar, it's a solo.
Do you want to put God back in school? Teach your kids the golden rule.
The golden rule isn't even from the Bible, you idiot! Fucking god damn it! I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but like this person's idea of like wholesome patriotism is like murdering people like me, and he doesn't even know that the golden rule isn't from the Bible? Oh my god.
Do you wanna
Did we have Tinfoil Tuesday yesterday? We did. We did.
own your own land and never pay taxes on it again? Do you wanna bring Congress home? Some county codes packing down the road. Do you wanna laugh? Do you wanna sing? Do you wanna join me?
This is terrible. Dillis Filler with 40 bits says, drink me some bleach, boys, and eat my soul. I wanna get tossed in a frickin' hole. It's free real estate.
Start ourselves a county grand jury. Not a right, but a duty. Throw out the corrupt. That's playing down with us. It's gonna be an epic revival. Rekindling the fire from the remnant that's been silent way too long. Can you hear the call? You're the only way.
Well, that was terrible. Sheesh, do they have any more of those songs? Because I would love it. The bell tolls for America. America is under God's judgment. Love a good Jeremiah ad. This isn't a waste of our time. What do you mean there's a music video? What do you wear? Hold on, a county grand jury. A county grand jury music. What? Oh no, he's got all sorts of music. Oh, fuck me. Oh. It's 9 minutes? Why is the music video 9.5 minutes? Oh, fuck.
Well, my boy came home from
Oh,
school
God.
today with a look of frustration on his face. I said, son, sit down and tell me what's wrong. He said, Dad, I don't know what my gender is. Yeah, the teacher's been filling his head with. So I took the time to put.
You know, kids are crying because they learned about trans people, you sick fuck. What are you talking about?
His little mind at ease. Yeah, we're letting go, we're letting pass on by. While they strip our freedoms when we don't comply. So I got down on my knees. God, what do I do? Gonna start ourselves a county grand jury. Not a right, but a duty. Throw out the corrupt. It's been plaguing all of us. It's gonna be an epic revival. Rekindling of a fire from the remnant that's been silent way too long. Can you hear the call, y'all? We are the only way.
My grandpappy fought the Nazis, and it's my duty to be a Nazi.
We are the way, the solution. check. Well, we've learned how to die, forgotten how to live, and we're so bound to the laws of man. Can't see the freedom for security. Not me. Gonna start ourselves a county grand jury.
Is that a key change? I don't know. I'm a sucker for a key change. Whenever we listen to music, if there's a key change, I'll point it out. I live for that shit. It's time for a fucking key change. Jays of Proxy says, I don't think he knows what a grand jury is or how they work. No, you don't understand. He's not using grand jury in the literal legal sense. He's using it to try and justify their extrajudicial execution and arrest of people they don't like. They're saying they should be able to get together in their little small towns, determine who they think is too woke or anti, Republican form of government, and they're gonna arrest them or kill them, and their justification to say it was legal is, oh, well, we did a grand jury where we got together and all collectively decided. He's basically, yes, it's basically trying to make a lynch mob official by giving it the sort of, like, appearance of legalese. Yes, they're trying to legitimize lynch mobbing. Ice leopard. What do you want me to look up in Black's Law Dictionary? Can I look up militia? Sure. So this is like a lynch mob anthem, basically.
Do you want to put God back in school? Teach your kids the golden rule? Do you want to own your own land and never pay taxes on it again? Do you want to bring Congress home? Some county codes packing down.
I find it so funny how they're saying bring Congress home like they're deployed in a combat zone. Isha.
Road. Do you want to laugh?
Would this ironically be something under the color of law? It would. It would be. I'm proud of you for recognizing that. That's nice when people learn stuff on stream.
Do you want to sing? Do you want to join me? Start ourselves a county grand jury. Not a right, but a duty. Throw out the corrupt. That's playing down with us. It's gonna be an epic revival.
Militia, the body of citizens in a state enrolled for the discipline as a military force but not engaged in actual service except in emergencies, as distinguished from regular troops or a standing army. Pterodonus says, everyone sounds fine till the National Guard shows up. What then? Greyline says, so what happens when different counties disagree on their laws? Are we going to have county wars? I hope so. I want more official Hatfield v. McCoy feuds. I think that would be nice. I'm the new PBS. I don't have tote bags for you guys, unfortunately. But this stream is brought to you by viewers like you. So, gift subs and bits. There's my self-promotion. We did it. Call to action, motherfucker. And it's just like on lined paper, like they're agreeing, who are we gonna round up this week? Jesus. Ooh, special message starts in 10 seconds. Oh no, not a shofar! That's Christian Dominionist shit. Benekagami says, fun fact, the point of the brown shirts in Hitler Youth was to turn civilians into self-enforcing elements of the final solution and do the programs themselves. It was to get people to spy on each other, and Republicans are trying to replace this with immigrant lies. Anyone with knowledge of history knows militias are terrifying.
Hello, all you beautiful people. My name is Rob Lane. Just wanted to give you a brief overview and let you know that that I'm just a blue-collar worker, the same as all the rest of you out there. I live in southern Georgia. And like most of you, I have been working just to try to stay ahead and try to pay the bills. And it seems like we're all just getting further and further behind. And on top of that, we got so much corruption going on within our county governments, our state governments, our federal...
Do you think a reign of terror is going to help your economic situation?
Government, obviously. And then they're trying to teach our children certain things that shouldn't be taught.
Benekagami says, it bugs the crap out of me that I can't place the melody. I grew up on country music, and I swear I've heard this melody before, but I can't place it, and it's driving me mad.
Instead of teaching them what needs to be taught. And like most of you, I have been just trusting the plan.
QAnon.
Or I have been waiting on a president to come back in office that's going to turn the country around and save us.
Trump.
And then one day I'm listening to one of my favorite patriot podcasters. And a gentleman from tacticalcivics.com, the founder, was on there and as a guest and started speaking. And for the first time in my entire life, I was able to hear the full-bodied solution to take
a final solution, if you will,
back our country and restore it to the forefathers' design. And if you are one of those patriots that is tired of sitting on a fence, that is tired of trusting a plan that just seems to never come, and understands that a president doesn't have the authority to restore a nation, that was given to the people, to we the people, by our forefathers, then I encourage you to come on over to tacticalcivics.com. Now, when you go on, you open that page. Don't hit the join now button just yet. Scroll down. There's a little small 11-minute video right there. Watch that video. As soon as you watch that video...
That video is the video we watched first, the introduction with the creepy Homelander guy.
If you feel compelled because you are the remnant, you are one of we the people, and you are ready, and you feel like you are part of that remnant that is ready to do something and help us restore the republic.
Every day it feels like we lost the Civil War. We won the Civil War. We lost Reconstruction.
To the forefathers' original design.
Which, yeah, is, bad call. Bad call.
You've heard the phrase, freedom is not free. If you hear the call, if you can heed my call, and you hear my call, then I encourage you to come join us. It's time to stand up, patriots. It's time to stand up. It's time to get down on our knees and thank God for what He inspired our forefathers to create. It's time to get back to what freedom really is.
terrible, horrifying. Both adjectives that I would use to describe that video. They have some real balls of charisma, too. Check out this guy who's talking for them. We'll watch just a minute or so of this, because this guy, when I was looking for people who are tactical civics people, I was like, I want the most thrilling and engaging speakers only. Then I saw this guy, and I was like, whew! Careful! Too much personality for me, sir.
Hi, my name is Tony Bistrain and I'm a county coordinator for Tactical Civics with an urgent message of great importance. Are you happy with what's going on in our government? Are you happy with our republic and how it's being run? Are you happy with the decisions being made in Washington, D.C.? Are you happy with the wars that are just benefiting a few who control the military-industrial complex? If you're fed up with all that like me, we urge you to take action in Tactical Civics. Tactical Civics is an organization which has over a 10-year period and over 80,000 hours of research has gone back to what the founding fathers originally envisioned for our republic.
And by the way, they know that because they have the endorsement of George Washington. Did I put that video somewhere? They have a video where a George Washington impersonator. No, where's the George Tactical Civics? Oh, look, it's me. I know me.
Now
Benigami says, we lost the Reconstruction because Lincoln was assassinated, and unfortunately his VP was a Confederate sympathizer, so they gave up the fight against the OG terrorist organization, the KKK. Yeah, it fucking sucks.
my fellow Americans, I only stood once to speak to the entire assembly of the Philadelphia Convention of 1787. That was at the urging of Mr. Gorham to urge a last-minute amendment of the Constitution stipulating small districts, 30,000 rather than 40,000 persons. The delegates unanimously agreed. Small districts, never to exceed 50,000 persons, was the first and most vital article in the original Bill of Rights. Yet even today, it remains the only one.
Nemesaur pointed out earlier that that would equal 6,000 representatives today. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the House of Representatives needs tinkering because at this point it isn't very representative. Like, they did kind of lock the total number of, people, so it's no longer representative the way that it was supposed to be. But also having 6,000 members of the House is not the most tenable thing, so I don't know, some other solution would probably be good.
Not yet ratified by the states. While I applaud the legislatures of Kentucky, Maryland, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Virginia, and Vermont.
He's not even a good Washington impersonator. I've never met George Washington, so I can't know. I've been to his house. I've seen his grave. But I didn't know the guy.
For doing their duty, I urge 27 more states to do their duty post-haste. For our republic now extends to the far Pacific, yet America's 31,000 small towns remain unrepresented in the House and Electoral College. Until this vital amendment
They're overrepresented in the Electoral College. What are you talking about?
fully ratified. You trusted me so well that you offered me a crown. Though having so lately freed yourselves from another, you should know the deadly nature of so great and concentrated power. Too great power over too great realms will always corrupt.
What percentage of humans are like this? You'd have to be more specific. George Washington impersonators? Probably not many.
Men. Our republic now falters. Those servants.
How were his bones? I didn't get to see his bones. They were in a casket, which was in a vault. And by vault, I mean the funeral, like the Not like a bank vault, you know, like the concrete, which was in like a mausoleum thing, which had a gate, because I assume they don't want you to steal George Washington's bones, which, fair enough. Fair enough. Maybe if he didn't want people stealing his bones, he shouldn't have stolen bones of his slaves. True fact about George Washington, his dentures were not made of wood, they were made of slave teeth, stolen from his slaves.
That you elected to do the business of your republic now feel themselves too great, finding themselves at too great a distance from you, their sovereigns. I urge you to adopt this amendment, to keep them near and well known to you and under your watch.
Are we sure he's dead then? Who knows? Who knows?
If you've ever trusted me as your king,
He could be the Highlander.
trust me now.
Thanks, George Washington. Appreciate you. What other videos we have?
We're living in the best time in 230 years of American history. And in this short video, you'll discover why. Yes, I know that millions of Americans are...
What does bring Congress home even mean? They want Congress people to be able to vote and do their jobs from home, basically, so they don't have to go to Washington, D.C.
Heartbroken. They complain that America's finished, that the Constitution is dead. But the Bible tells us to resist evil and it will flee from you.
Yeah, Iggy, and I wish I had an answer for you. Too many. Less than you'd fear, more than you'd hope. Be my answer. No, that's not great. But...
It instructs us to glorify God and to do works fit for repentance. So that's what we're doing. After 44 volunteers dedicated more than 80,000 hours to dig out the real problem plaguing America, we developed a full-spectrum solution, a responsible new way of life called tactical civics. With over 1,650 county chapters begun so far, our chapter founders are truck drivers and PhDs,
There's not a single non-white person in these pictures.
homemakers, and
I just double-checked. I've been checking their promotional material. So far, it's all white people except one that was maybe questionable. But pretty much all white people in their promo material. Putting it out there. Could be wrong. Could be falsified any moment. And I hope I am. Just pointing it out.
and house painters, grandmothers and young parents, farmers, plumbers, professionals, software programmers, machinists, and homeschooling moms. Our mission is to get just half of 1% of America, just a repentant, responsible remnant, to end the hijacking of America by big cities and organized crime. Our work plan comes right out of the U.S. Constitution, and until Lincoln's War, we the people were doing this law enforcement.
Until Lincoln's War? You want to repeat that one?
Is crime. Our work plan comes right out of the U.S. Constitution, and until Lincoln's War, we the people...
Sounds a lot like the War of Northern Aggression, huh? It's almost like the South had already begun stealing federal property and forts and raiding them for weapons prior to the North doing anything.
We're doing this law enforcement. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with basic civics. In our...
Oh, wait, out no traitors, rattlesnakes, and alligators. Run away, run away, run away, run away.
Constitutional system, civics just means who is boss? And we the people answer that question in the opening words of the Constitution. We the people do ordain. And then in the 10th Amendment, we stipulate that we retain all powers that we didn't give our servants in the Constitution. Our Constitution is the highest human law in history. Yes, law. It's not just a revered document, it's the highest law in our land. and we the people are the only human authority over it. All of our servants in government are under it, because by that law, we the people created their offices and limited them to do only 17 services for all of the states. Every other power or function that you can imagine beyond those 17 functions, all of the thousands of agencies and bureaus, offices, and departments that Washington, D.C. has created and is doing every day, are illegal.
Oh my god.
No matter how much we approve or benefit from it or how long they've been doing it.
People like this, do they just completely ignore the fact that the Constitution allows for, like, a legislature and stuff to make new rules and for the executive to create, like, organizations and, like, offshoots of itself in order to get things done? Like, it kind of feels like they just ignore that and feels like the government should have changed zero in over 200 years?
Doing it. Constitutionally, every federal power not authorized by us in the Constitution or reasonably inferred therefrom is D.C. organized crime. And we the people authorize only ourselves alone to enforce the Constitution. Yet, believe it or not, we never have, not once. No other organization in America today has detailed long-term county, state, and federal action projects and a network of chapters from coast to coast to put the authority back where it belongs, in the hands of we the people. Even before the stolen 2020 election by the deep state,
Oh, we slipped that in there. They're election deniers. That's cool.
big tech, and communist China,
Big tech and communist China.
we've seen that electoral politics has never hampered D.C. and state palace criminals. First, we the people start planting our county chapters from coast to coast. We already have over 1,650 of them, and we train our members in basic civics and tactical planning, how to live as a responsible overseer of our public servants, how to hold meetings, how to use our tactical civics training center. Next, we give you everything you need for your county chapter to restore your county grand jury, which is the people's sword and shield against corrupt government and private sector crime in your county. This institution...
Orion Cooper says, damn, the author they just listed, Thomas DiLorenzo, has spoken in favor of secession and has been described as an ally of or part of the neo-Confederate movement. I'm shocked. Let me do the Home Alone face. I'm so shocked. Yeah, that makes sense. Nine Line with a €5 super chat says, just finished a uni thesis that has to do with power and authority. These people don't know the definitions of those words. Thank you very much for the super chat.
which is required by the Constitution, began in England in 997 AD. The late Justice Antonin Scalia explained in
Boo, hiss, boo.
U.S. versus Williams in 1990.
Tillisviller says, actually, overseers run vaults, sir. I've been playing New Vegas lately. I'm going through the DLC for the first time. It's fun. Just finished Old World Blues. I'm doing Honest Hearts right now.
2. That grand jury is not a part of the court. It's independent of the judge and prosecutor. It does need to be seated by the judge, but then it can subpoena witnesses, issue warrants for evidence, and investigate anything suspicious in the county. Grand jury is the only way to stop corrupt public servants, including corrupt sheriffs, district attorneys, judges.
So we have a judge that's in charge of one of Trump's cases. We have Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. We have Paul Ryan and some friends of Paul Ryan. I don't recognize that sheriff.
Legislators, and election boards and workers. After holding enough seminars and meet and greets to build the county chapter numbers to 0.5% of county population, The first local action project of
Thanks,
Tactical
Spokane Dog
Civics
Man, for the cleanse link.
chapters is we help you to get a grand jury ordinance passed and a grand jury webpage added to and maintained on your county government's website, just like over 25 counties in California already do today. Urging citizens to volunteer for grand jury service, giving them a place to anonymously report what they believe might be felony crimes, and offering links to our Grand Jury Awake program to train and brief grand jury members. When county government has corrupt actors in law enforcement, they tie the hands of the grand jury. This is where the Founding Fathers' other law enforcement institution comes into play. Militia began in England in 1014 AD. Like the grand jury, it's the people's law enforcement tool ordained by God to, quote, bear the sword, unquote, as explained in Romans 13. In the Declaration of Independence, we told the world that when any level of government fails to do its job...
It's funny that he's quoting from Romans, but ignoring the part that says to obey the government. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but okay.
That duty reverts back to the people. Since Lincoln's troops marched on our streets...
Wow, they really are going for the whole lost cause, like, revisionism thing, huh?
Washington, D.C.
I'm glad they burned Atlanta. We're gonna burn it even harder, you fucks.
Became our master, and all 50 states have failed to obey the people's stipulated duties in the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8, for, quote, militia, to execute the laws of the Union, suppress insurrections, and repel invasions, unquote. Our parents and grandparents didn't know this basic civics. Since Lincoln's hijacking, Washington, D.C. has been increasingly captured by globalist corporations, billionaires, and an army of several million bureaucrats. The D.C. organized crime overthrow of our Constitution includes demonizing the militia, because communists and fascists need the American people to be disarmed and ignorant. Then their organized crime can flourish. The first local action of new militia units in your county will be to help that militia group get a county militia ordinance passed. And the Tactical Civics chapter will help launch and maintain a county militia webpage added to their county government's website to match the county grand jury webpage. With state palaces pulling off the same lawless
Atlanta's cool now, head for Macon. That's fair.
Subterfuge as Washington, D.C., we the people now turn to our own county governments as our defensive phalanx to restore our oversight and enforcement that we demand in the U.S. Constitution. This is the law. Grand jury and true lawful militia are not optional. Tactical Civics is the action mission and national brand of America Again Trust, a private Christian member organization with an online training center that teaches Americans how to stop organized crime by sociopaths, communists, perverts, atheists, vandals, and politicians.
Atheists is on the list next to perverts and pedophiles.
Been openly, arrogantly violating our highest law for generations. Their side is the deep state, communist China, big tech, big war, big banking, big oil, big pharma, and corporations who keep legislators as pets.
Don't forget big sex toy.
Mainstream media, Hollywood, illegal aliens, and jihadis.
Wow, it's every Fox. It's like the Avengers of Fox News boogeymen from the last 30 years.
Our side is 50 million families on farms, ranches, and in homesteads and shops in the productive, normal heartland. We're America's 31,000 small towns.
Yeah, small towns are so productive economically, they keep shutting down because people can't find work there. Very productive.
Faithful.
You guys are killing it.
the Lord who gave our forefathers the strength, perseverance, and wisdom that we need today. Finally, a full spectrum, long-term, peaceful, rational action plan.
Kagami says, this kind of stuff is why I think communism is overly optimistic. I think we're always going to need some kind of government and state to help keep people like this in check. I understand that maybe I'm too capitalist brain poisoned and maybe being unimaginative, but I'm not convinced power-mad, self-absorbed POSs like these people won't always exist and be a problem. I would agree. I would agree. Like, I can understand in theory the ideal of a stateless, like, society, a stateless, classless society. I don't think it's practical in any way, sense, or form. Like, at all. There are just too many crackpot people who absolutely will not do things in their own best interests or the interest of their communities or whatever.
No more complaining to one another and doing nothing. America can be restored. There's much more to this new way of life. We finished ratifying the original first right in the Bill of Rights to give America's small towns and states our first representation in over a century. And then the Bring Congress Home Act and our indictment engine, mobile app, to arrest unconstitutional laws before they can be passed. Our non-enumerated powers Sunset Act will create over 6,500 teams of 7 American volunteers serving one-year terms to defund any federal budget line item, agency, regulation, or program that 50% plus one of those citizen teams votes to shut down. We the people, the highest office in government, and who pay for all those budget items, we will now decide, not our embezzling servants in Congress or in the White House. But we begin by restoring the American people's grand jury and militia control over corruption, because by the grace of God, some days the world just changes. If you're ready to take responsibility, repentance is always an option, and repentance is an action word.
Kagami says, to be clear, I know states are also a problem, but they are probably less so than these guys are, especially if we incorporate ideals from communism into the state. I don't know. Don't ask me to develop a functional government. And is the last on my list of skills. I can't even play Risk. Alright, let's see what's next.
Hello there. If you're getting this message, it's because you are a head of a patriot group, or somebody in my group sees you as a true warrior, somebody that loves the Constitution, somebody that loves God, and realizes that if there are to be changes made in our country, in our county, in our states, it's going to have to be we the people that do it. So I'm going to cut right to the chase for some of you who don't need the lecture as to why we need to get involved. So I'm going to let you know that there's going to be a meeting on Saturday, March 2nd at 10 a.m. It'll be a digital meeting. So I will be sending you a link. We're going to try to keep it to around an hour, and that's if people will also watch the links that we attach to this video to kind of get an understanding of what tactical civics are. It might be a little bit longer depending on the questions and answers, but we need as many people to know about this as possible. This might not be something you get involved with. Like I said, a lot of you are patriot leaders already and have a lot of things going on, but we need people to be aware of it, because in order for us to do what we need to do, there has to be a pretty good support from the community. So let me explain what
we the people, it sounds more like us the people. Yeah, they have a tendency to do that. Rhetorically to them, we the people is a stand-in for people they consider real Americans. And it's usually a pretty limited group, as you would imagine.
Tactical Civics is. Some of you I've already talked to, some of you I will be talking to, but for those of you who are unaware, Tactical Civics is a group that's been around for about 15 years now. They're teaching people how to set up grand juries in their counties. Now, grand juries is not the same as a jury trial. I think most of us think of that when we hear grand jury.
She really doesn't know what a real grand jury is, does she? Oh boy.
Our system's been kind of twisted and turned into legal positivism instead of nature's law, like it was intended by our forefathers and our Father in heaven. But we'll get into that a little bit later for those that need the further explanation. Way back when, our forefathers wanted us, we the people, to be able to oversee. So the Constitution
Lennon Cat, what do you want me to look up in Black's Law Dictionary? Grand jury?
itself is not giving the government power. In fact, it's limiting its power. It has 17 enumerated powers in which the government can oversee. If it's not in the Constitution, they have no right governing it, which of course we know that that's all your three-letter agencies and all that are being ran through the federal system, which they really don't have a right to do. But we have been kind of asleep at the wheel and have allowed some of these things to happen.
Royal Ann with the $2 super chat says they want to close all small town by ending funds.
Because we hadn't been taught, we didn't know better, or we just weren't paying attention. But the Constitution protects nature's law. Now, what is nature's law?
Oh, God damn it. Grand jury, see jury. Now I gotta go to jury.
The laws of God, honestly. It was in the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence. Okay, so I'll get into that a little bit more again later. But what Tactical Civics is doing is the grand juries, and we the people that we're supposed to oversee, are brought in when there's anything to be investigated by we the people. So for instance, okay, let's say that there's voting fraud, or people are accusing voting fraud.
Or like when Donald Trump was indicted by grand juries multiple times.
A grand jury can be requested. It can either be requested by a good constitutional sheriff or by a general
good constitutional sheriff
assembly. And there is a group of members that would be gathered in a grand jury to...
Grand jury, a jury of inquiry who are summoned and returned by the sheriff to each session of the criminal courts, and whose duty is to receive complaints and accusations in criminal cases, hear the evidence addendum on the part of the state, find bills of indictment in cases where they are satisfied a trial ought to be had. They are first sworn and instructed by the court. This is called a grand jury because it comprises a greater number of jurors than an ordinary trial jury or petite jury. At common law, a grand jury consisted of not less than 12, nor more than 23 men. Body of citizens, the number of whom varies from state to state, whose duties consist in determining whether probable cause exists that a crime has been committed, and whether an instrument, true bill, should be returned against one for such a crime. If the grand jury determines that probable cause does not exist, it returns a no bill. It's an accusatory body, and its function does not include a determination of guilt.
To actually provide that investigation. Okay, the legislative branch, all three branches of government have no ability to be able to stop them on any of their investigation. They have full subpoena power. They can look.
Ashley One Up says, I'm a real American, fight for the rights of every man, as long as they're white and Christian, cis, hetero, male, and agree with my political beliefs.
Look through emails, they can look through, ledgers of what the cities are spending, anything that they need to in order to provide and perform that investigation, they have full power to do so. It just has to be registered with the county that a grand jury is investigating and what they're investigating. Okay, so why is this important? Well, back in the days, I'd say even before Lincoln, when these grand juries were brought in on a regular basis, as they should have been, it kept elected officials honest. You didn't have people embezzling money or being bribed or things like that as often because the grand juries not only had their own militias, but they had their own executioner, which...
Yeah, no, that's not true. Corruption and bribes have existed in every government ever, to different levels, don't get me wrong, but the idea that there was some idealized point in American history where, like, no one ever took bribes, like, that's not how anything works. Phyllis Filler says, my country is of me, I am a grand jury, do what I say.
It sounds a little brutal, but they had an executioner that was hooded and they would take care of business. If you
Are you thinking of medieval England?
got caught breaking the Constitution, you could either lose your elected official position, go to jail, depending on what the circumstances, or if you committed treason, your head got chopped off, or you got...
Wouldn't the grand jury be under the purview of the judicial branch, one of the 3 branches of our government? Yes! I don't know why she's saying it's not.
I mean, that people didn't mess around back then because we, the people, were always supposed to oversee. The lie is right now that we have a democracy. How many times have you heard that? Oh, it's a threat to our democracy. Even Tucker Carlson, who I love, is always saying, our democracy, our democracy. We don't have democracy.
We do. We are a democratic republic.
We have democracy as far as voting, where we
Yes.
take the majority rule, and then we elect our officials in. A democracy means that you elect your officials in by majority rule, and then they do what they want. That's not how we're set up. We are a constitutional republic. In fact, the only guarantee in the Constitution that we have is that we are to always have a constitutional republic form of government. Constitutional republic is you vote in your elected official by majority rule, but then the people oversee. They oversee the actions of all elected officials and all political positions and yada yada, which...
I don't think she understands this very well.
We haven't been trained and we've been asleep at the wheel, same with our parents and our grandparents, and it goes back quite a ways. I think this was intentional. If any of you guys understand the Communist Manifesto, this was all planned out. Okay, but where we are today is it's time for us to clean house, okay? So Tactical Civics,
I would bet you all $10,000 that she has never read the Communist Manifesto, and it is not long. It's a pamphlet.
We have members in every single state. They're teaching people...
They never reference Das Kapital. What's up with that?
To put together grand juries to go investigate anything that's unconstitutional that needs to be investigated. The goal is to roll out 1 grand jury per state at the same time or similar time so that we can support each other.
It's supposed to be per county. You're not even saying the plan correctly.
Okay. You have to have 0.5% of the population in support of the grand jury, which is why we need you to spread this message, even if you're not part of the grand jury or don't have time or don't want to be part of the grand jury. We have to have the support of the people in order to establish a grand jury on any subject, on any matter, on anything that needs to be investigated.
Same. Thank you for 100 bits.
And we're asking you to at least understand it so that you can support it and maybe push other people that do want to be involved with this into the direction of Tactical Civics. Okay, so that is what we're doing. Meetings on March 2nd. We really want you guys to understand this. You can spread it to your people. Now, let's get into more of the why. And I'm speaking directly to Christians. Okay, because I want you to understand that this is not just something, oh, that would be a good idea to help fight for our freedoms. We are told, we are commanded in Scripture to fight for the laws of God.
Ben Kagami says, what the F is she talking about? Public officials weren't held to account because of grand juries. If anything, they were held accountable by the free press, which largely doesn't exist anymore because of corporate monopolies, and surprise, surprise, corruption got worse, plus Citizens United. Grand juries have never happened all that often. They're kind of ceremonial part of the judicial process.
I live in Utah, so...
I don't know about strictly ceremonial, but yes, 9 times out of 10, if they're ready to bring grand jury, if they're ready to put a grand jury together, they think it's a slam dunk case, pretty much.
There's quite a bit of...
At least for the indictment.
People here, so I'm gonna kind of pull a little bit of their doctrine and their beliefs into it, because it's kind of disturbing to me that most people don't understand the basic fundamentals of what we are supposed to be doing at this time per direction of our Father in heaven. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Okay, so let me go back to nature's law. What is nature's law? In the first paragraph of the Declaration of Independence, it says God is nature, nature's God. Nature's law are all things absolute. The laws of science, the laws of physics, the laws of motion.
Tactical Civics, the new name for sovereign citizenry. I wouldn't say it's a new name, but it seems to be a subset private organization that's popping up that explicitly has militia ties. So it seems to be sort of a subgroup.
And the loss of gravity, okay? And You do not have to be a Christian. You do not have to, it doesn't matter if you're Hindu or Buddhist or whatnot. We all can agree that the laws of nature exist. Anybody over 2 years old knows that if you walk off of a tall building, gravity's going to pull you to the ground.
Those are the laws of physics. What does that have to do with, like, if someone stabs someone? Phyllis Filler says, a sob sect, if you will. Oh, that's pretty good.
Anybody can see that I can get up and walk across the room, or I can get in a car, and that follows the laws of motion.
The thing about the laws of physics is they don't need to be enforced by anyone. They just exist. We're not talking about that. We're talking about legal codes and sort of societal norms and rules that are enforced by the state, right?
Those things that we can do physically were not given to us because any man said, hey, you can walk or you can drive a car. Those things were given to us by our Creator. However you believe we were created.
Moira Soma with 100 bits, almost kicking off a hype train, says, I know this isn't Chudwatch, but we're talking about racism in government, so what the hell is this? This guy is so blatant with his racism, I'm shocked. God, let's see what it is. Louisiana Republican launches racist tirade against nastiest county, Haiti, after lawsuit. Oh, God. Country, sorry. LOL, quote, LOL, these Haitians are wild, Higgins wrote. Eating pets, voodoo, nastiest country in the Western Hemisphere, cults, slapstick, gangsters, but damn if they don't feel all sophisticated now, filing charges against our president and VP. All these thugs better get their mind right and their ass out of the country before January 20th. That's disgusting. He should fucking resign. What a nasty, nasty person. Jesus. These people are sick. Nemesaur, thank you for kicking off a hype train and gifting 10 tier 1 subs. Thank you very much. We are 89% to level 3 on the hype train. It is September, so subs are 30% off. They'd be appreciated.
Those laws of nature exist. So by the laws of nature, in the Declaration of Independence, they declared their rights. Their inalienable rights came from their
inalienable
Creator.
You ever notice these people always have a problem saying inalienable? They either say inalienable or just like struggle over it. Inalienable. You cannot be alienated from them. They are intrinsically connected. Inalienable.
And no man have a right to govern those nature's laws. I'll get to natural in a minute. Because it was given to us by our Creator. So even our founding fathers, they've never intended for people to be lawmakers. That falls into something different.
What are you talking about? Literally, the legislature is in the Constitution. They wrote the Constitution with how to set up the legislature to pass laws. What are you talking about?
I'll get into. How do you make law if it's already there? They're supposed to be making provisions and statutes. Let me give you an example. Our driver's license technically are unconstitutional. And
they're not.
Some of you may have run into state nationalists, or what do they call themselves, sovereign citizens, that have realized, oh, wait a second, our driver's license are unconstitutional. They can't force that on us. Well,
you're incorrect. Ferris Hex, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 3 of the hype train. So the 10th Amendment says that the rights and stuff that are not specifically given to the government are left to the states and the citizens of the states. States enact driver license laws, and they are allowed to do so under the Constitution. 99% to level 4.
I don't recommend anybody walk away from and sign out of the system. And the reason why is because these things that were brought in unconstitutionally, the birth certificates, the driver's license, the marriage licenses, they are all done unconstitutionally. Instead of signing out of the system, we just stand up for the Constitution.
Not a part of your system.
Because any contract or agreement or anything we were forced into, a baby doesn't decide if they have a birth certificate. They're not, they have no choice in that.
Truly, we're all born into a society.
That was done unconstitutionally, so it's null and void. We don't need to sign out. In fact, those that are signing out are saying, hey.
It's actually completely constitutional. The 14th Amendment says it's constitutional, but okay.
Hey, I was part of this unconstitutional contract and now I want out of it. that's kind of a bad idea because it never should be enforced to begin with, and we just need to learn how to stand up for that, okay? So those are the laws of nature where the legislators are supposed to put provisions in statute. If you have the laws of motion and you physically can drive and own a vehicle, then the legislators can say, okay, we have to put provisions on that because if not, everybody's going to be driving into each other. So there's speed limits and you have to pass a driver's course and you have to, prove that you can operate a vehicle safely in order to be able to drive. But driver's license say that it's illegal to drive unless you have our license, which is unconstitutional. God gave us the laws of motion. Therefore,
did God invent the internal combustion engine?
Man can't say.
Did God make the highways and byways?
You can't have it unless you do what we say. They can just put provisions on there because our physical capability, we can do anything you want. That's the whole purpose of God's intent for our lives, was to have agency. You can do anything you physically want so long as it doesn't.
Unless you eat from one specific tree, then your entire species is fucked for all eternity. But do whatever you want.
Infringe on something.
And also, if you do things I don't like and don't worship me, you go to hell for all eternity and burn and suffer forever. Just a being of pure pain and conscious agony existing, not being devoured by the flames, but instead being consumed by the madness of your own never-ending pain. But other than that, you can do whatever you want. Steve with a Q, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 4 of the hype train. Tea Time T with 40 bits says, God gave me hands and made rocks, but he still doesn't want me smashing one over my brother's head. What the fuck? 84% to level 5.
Else's rights. Okay, so let me go back again to why God commanded us. So most people are unaware that the Constitution and the laws of nature actually mimic the reign of the judges in the Bible. And for those of you who are LDS, this also happened in the Book of Mormon under Moroni. So in the Bible...
No, not Moroni!
Under the reign of judges, Samuel was the prophet at the time, and the people lived in peace for 400 and some odd years under the reign of the judges. Now, the reign of the judges, they did not rule. The people ruled. Under nature's law, they all followed nature's law or God's law, where they physically could do what they wanted, but they didn't violate other people's rights. And so if there was a contention, if a neighbor, that had property started growing a garden on somebody else's property, they could bring that into the judges and say, hey, we have an issue here. And they were just meant to be peacekeepers to let them work it out. Now, if you had somebody that, say, committed a murder, of course, they don't want to admit to that because the punishment was prison or death. Then the reign of the judges were required to gather all the facts and the findings and the witnesses. And then it was really interesting because they would have a panel of women. So the men would find the facts because they are the law of the priesthood, and the women are the equity or the heart of the priesthood. And so they would determine judgment, which I think is really interesting. We don't always hear about the women's roles in the Bible.
Because they didn't have much of any except being property. Benekagami says it's so infuriating that people like this are so against basic documentation that would be necessary for governments to keep track of the population to provide services, taxation, and gatekeep in necessary fields, but an open border and uncriminalized human movement would be unconstitutional to them. To them, the Constitution is basically a rhetorical device. If there's something in the Constitution they could use to bolster their argument, they're all for the Constitution. To them, Constitution is just thing I like. And that's how they use it, basically. Joan Corbell says, this is totally untrue. There are all kinds of laws in the Bible that prohibit behavior that doesn't affect anyone else. This kind of libertarianism is an Enlightenment idea. Yeah, the Bible is not in any way libertarian in this sense. Bible does not do a whole live and let live thing. It very specifically has rules governing your behavior, whether or not it affects other people. Like, Leviticus itself is full of, like, a crazy number of specific rules.
But these people lived this way for 408 years. And then they said, you know what, this is too hard. Like, we don't want to manage ourselves. We want a king to rule over us like all other nations. And Samuel's like, no, that's a bad idea. This is God's law. And so he went to God and said, hey, they're not backing off. They want a king. And God told them, they're not rejecting you. They're rejecting me, giving what they want. In fact, God loved them so much that he gave them Saul, who was a righteous man at the time, to be their king. But of course, a lot of people that get into power, the pride gets to them and they become tyrannical at some point, which is exactly what happened. In the Book of Mormon, the same thing happened. I think their reign of judges was only 200 and something years. They came to Moroni and they said,
That was a surprising amount about the Book of Mormon. Minute left in the hype train.
nah, this is too hard. Give us a king. We just want a king. This is too hard. Samuel convinced them otherwise. This is going against the laws of God. Are you sure you want to do that? And they didn't. And they prospered for a while until, of course, generations later, they started doing stupid things. That's just scriptures in general. We go, where people are good, then they're evil. Good and evil, that's how it is. Which Jesus referred to our day as like the days of Noah. And there were a lot of things going on in the days of Noah. But what was interesting when I studied Noah, I have friends that are Hebrew scholars and Greek scholars have really dug into.
I'm going to say doubt on that one. Stone Corbell, thanks for gifting a sub and getting us over level 4.
The actual.
You said she lives in Utah? That makes sense.
Understanding the original text.
Oh shoot, level 5 complete. Sorry, we got to level 5. 2% to level 6.
In the
what a great hype train. Thanks, everyone. Hydrate.
Bible of the days of Noah. And it was interesting that I always just thought everybody was evil because it just said, oh, everybody was bad except for Noah's family. And so God wiped everybody out. Well, it was interesting that there was a lot of people worshiping God and thinking that, going to church and worshiping God. But all the people that were worshiping idols and sexual sin and doing all kinds of crazy stuff, sacrifice, whatever, they didn't want to fight with them. They're like, oh man, they're nasty, they're mean, they're gonna punish me, they're gonna hurt me if I stand up to them. So I'll tell you what, you guys do your crap over here, we'll still worship God over here. God deemed them all evil because they refused to stand up for his laws. Now, let's jump up forward to the LDS Church, where I think it's the 12th article of faith that says that we follow the laws of the land. And
okay, I gotta move on from her. She's just drilling into my brain in a really obnoxious way that I can't explain.
Civics. John Lazoric is a father, teacher, engineer, farmer, and freedom fighter. Born in 1956 near Cleveland, Ohio, his father, a pioneer in business...
Have I noticed since Trump, the divorce rate talking point has been dropped from the conservative lexicon? There's certain groups that still talk about it. The I-word faction do. Oh, this guy's into QAnon. He's got a Q in the background. Nice.
Computing application.
I mean, not nice, but I like to spot little Easter eggs. What other crazy things do they believe?
Taught him to use and value tools, that there was nothing he could not learn how to do, and to identify poison ivy. John learned to love the natural world, hiking the invisible wilderness of central New Jersey. He cut his engineering teeth doing a mix of defense and renewable energy related
Barely breathing with 100 bits says hype, hype, hype. Thank you very much.
Research in a university environment in the
it is a milady hat, unfortunately. 5% to level 6.
Early 1980s. During this time, he started his own business, providing at one end consulting services for university and industrial clients, and at the other, economical repair services for local farmers and industries. He migrated to a mountain farm in West Virginia at the end of the 1980s, seeking to realize his dream of what manufacturing engineers call vertical integration and preppers call self-sufficiency, not only for its survival value, but as a place in which to teach his children where everything comes from, how to see the law and providence of God in all things, and to connect emotionally to the whole of human history. Trying to engineer a righteous and frugal way of life and find a place in a new community, John came up hard against the differences between the beautiful and godly conceptions in our Declaration.
Oh my God, he's just reading his goddamn press release. Talk.
Us today, John Lazoric of Tactical Civics. Good afternoon, or good morning, John. How are you doing today?
You're muted.
Oh, it's a beautiful, sunny, cold day up here at 3,000 feet on the mountainside.
It is. And there's so much just reading your bio. You and I have been talking, for those of us, for the audience members that are watching, John and I met back in September here in Botetourt County at an event sponsored by our local militia at the VFW. And you were certainly the most lucid speaker there, not to besmirch anybody else, but I really honed in on you because you are the authentic, genuine article. You are the West Virginia mountain man who's putting his money where his mouth is, where the rubber meets the road, and trying to help us form a more perfect union. You want to tell the audience about what your mission exactly is?
Well, Tactical Civics broadly intends to intends to restore our republic according to the vision of the founders, which was that government exists for a certain limited number of carefully delineated purposes, which are more conveniently served on a large scale than on a local scale. But the key is for individuals to remain responsible for their lives and in control of their lives, rather than becoming the pawns, or worse, the cattle of the power structure.
The sheeple repackaged.
There are lots of dimensions to the mission.
Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
We have several targets. The one that I am most intimately involved with, we call American Militia 2.0, and it goes back to the fact that in the Constitution, in Article 1...
Yeah, he is the guy from earlier. I'm actually going to move on because we already heard enough from him.
I would like to welcome everyone here today and thank you for investing the time to discover Tactical Civics. My name is Ed Gonzalez. I am an ordained
the first non-white person in this
minister. I am a father, grandfather, and a brand new great-grandfather. And it is for my children and grandchildren, my great-grandson, that I'm doing this. I'll do a slide presentation explaining the basic civics and our organization's tactics and strategy. Then we'll invite you to ask your questions and try to answer them. Now, if you're like me, you have felt that things haven't been right in our republic for a while. Then 2020 came along and things we suspected all along began to come to the light.
Like what?
We were hit with what we call a plandemic.
Oh no! He's one of these goddamn people.
Which is a coordinated effort to enslave mankind.
No, it isn't.
Then,
it literally isn't. It wasn't planned. Holy crap. Please. Please go to school. Go back to school. Read a book. Stop this. Stop watching conspiracy videos on the internet. You're banned for 10 years from the internet.
We experienced a stolen election.
No, we didn't. You're just salty.
From which we see all kinds of evidence.
Like what? You guys keep saying there's evidence. What evidence? You're always like, oh, there's so much evidence. What evidence? You just say the word evidence, like saying the word evidence in and of itself is evidence. It isn't.
From Dinesh D'Souza's 2,000 Mules to...
Oh my god, if you've seen that thing, it's fucking hilarious.
Electronic packets going back and forth from one country to another.
Not the electronic packets!
Ballots under tables and being recorded, running a ballot over and over again through the machine.
Yeah, because it didn't read the first time. This has all been debunked, by the way. There are plenty of YouTube videos. There was a good one that I watched that was a big breakdown of it. Like scene for scene. I forget who did it, but it was pretty good.
We had our lockdowns where people were forced to stay at home.
Okay, I can't watch this guy either. The COVID bitching. I'm so over it after years of these people whining about basic public health stuff. I just can't.
From coast to coast, because communists and fascists, and then the
video. My microphone here is. So that's it for the video.
It's the most brazen.
I don't think you want to watch it over.
Tactical AV. Overthought says, one reason I see folks as interesting versus a real threat is that for their plan to come together, it requires cooperation. Even if they got a town or two to buy in, the second one of them does something someone else deems unconstitutional, the whole thing would break down. Their goal is antithetical to their ideals. I would generally agree. Yeah. I don't think they're capable of the level of coordination that would be necessary for this kind of plan. Yeah. Probably not a bad way to figure out who's potentially scary, though.
So, is there any questions about the video before we move on? Any parts that you don't understand or have a question about?
Well, this guy's full of charisma, too.
Any parts you don't agree with? So, I'll start here.
I mean, I'd certainly take it, Harold Ebelman.
Our first job is to realize that we have a problem. I don't think we'll get any argument there. It seems like our politicians have forgot that they work for us. No longer do they create bills or try to make life better for the American people. They are worried about themselves, and it's pretty obvious now.
Public speaking is hard. Skill issue!
We have a president that can't even
No, it is. I would agree it is.
find his way home.
I've just done it enough that I'm numb to it. You just gotta disassociate. You just gotta pretend it's not even you up there.
And he's running our country. I mean, really, it's not happening. He's just a placeholder. So, for generations since Lincoln, we the people have failed to keep our republic.
Oh my god, this guy sucks. Oh, it's the same guy.
Assured that state and federal
Thrilling. Oh, the audio on this one is so cooked.
Fathers were so smart.
That's not tenable. This one looks like a Tupperware party.
I'm so excited for these two
Am I disassociating right now? That's personal.
great ladies speak to us on tactical civics, and I sat in on a Zoom. Yeah, I was going to say podcast, but it was a Zoom, and it was really fascinating. So,
That's my secret cap. I'm always disassociating.
Invited them to come and tell us about it, and grand juries and the power of grand juries. And unfortunately, we need small counties, right?
Yeah, well, to start out with, it's more helpful.
So
We're just going to do all
that's right. So I will turn the time over. I don't know who's starting. Jen. This is Jen Young and Dina Destro.
I just want to say something really fast. I'm going to introduce this a little bit. I want everybody to pay attention to this woman. In fact, I bought her a superhero cape and it didn't come yet. So bring it to her. And I'm serious about it because my part of this, so Jen's going to go over tactical civics, and really this is her fault. She got me into it. They're asking for us to be the Utah County coordinators now, and that's her fault. So she's going to have to teach the class. My part of this is I'm going to come in and teach about how we do this.
No, we've not seen this before.
We're already doing. So that's why Colette's my favorite on the spotlight here.
At least I've not shown this before.
Not only that, she's going to be one of the grand jurors.
It is a bad angle. If anyone's ever shooting anything for any reason, you're always better off going higher than lower. No one looks good from a bottom angle. This is why when you're taking photos, you want to at least be eye level, if not above. Men especially, who don't take a lot of pictures, don't realize this. Don't take a picture from down here. You're going to get, the whole thing. So you want to be slightly above, at minimum. Just a thought. Like, my camera's slightly above. Just letting you know. General idea. Don't shoot from below. It conveys things that you're not intending to convey through the shot.
She's brilliant, okay? So, with the committees, in D&C 123, Joseph Smith tells us that we are to create committees when our government has gone awry. and we are to bring information in, and that's how we expose what needs to happen. So little did Colette know she was following that scripture way before. I don't know, maybe she knew.
President Nelson gave it to us.
Exactly. This was a big deal. And Joseph Smith, I think, kind of knew what he was talking about. So we're going to kind of go into that a little bit more. The other thing I'm going to talk to you about is nature's law of we'll kind of see how much time she has. This might have to be another meeting for another day. I've got a slideshow on it. Because, you guys, have you ever heard the saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room? Yes, I took that to heart. The friends that I have, they're constitutional scholars. My two favorite, one's a Hebrew scholar, one's a Greek scholar. So they put everything into the perspective of the Bible.
Into this.
Yeah. and they don't do, they're so busy and they don't do a lot of the teaching. So we've learned how to come and explain nature's law. Nobody really understands. It's not natural law. Nature's law is a little different. It puts a completely different perspective on how we fight for the Constitution. My part of this is having you guys be the teachers, because how many times have we heard, I'm not political, or I don't understand this stuff, or, I don't really get into that type of stuff. And I'm going to teach you why, hopefully we get a chance to teach you whose responsibility is it for to protect the Constitution. And it is a very spiritual thing. You ladies all know this. When we were talking about this, she says, you're preaching to the choir, Dina. So my whole thing is, I'm going to give you some talking points on how to address other people to get them involved with these things. Okay?
So we've got Kimberly Fletcher and her daughter Cassie, President Moms for America. We've got a place up here for you.
Moms for America. That's not a good group, probably.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that, were you? Welcome.
I'm assuming it's a group of people that show up to, like, school board meetings and complain about pronouns and shit.
You're on the spotlight. Keep the spotlight right there. Well, I've got to talk to these ladies later. My group is about ready to go after the school board, and I just will let you guys know a little bit what we're doing. Super exciting, and it all has to.
Groups like this make me so uncomfortable. Am I the only one in groups like this who are like, everyone here's so fake? You ever been in a group of people like this and you're like, oh my god, this is such an uncomfortable situation because I don't know how to fake this, whatever the thing they're doing is that makes them like, hi everyone, how are you doing?
Do with nature's law.
Do you guys care if I take pictures?
No. So
the insincerity is cloying, yeah.
However much time we
like, I feel like I'm an asshole, but if I was in this room, I'd just be like, this is creepy.
Get through today.
Like, what are we doing?
That the 17th.
Talk like a person. Oh, I skipped ahead. God
We
damn
have
it.
joined that circle. Okay. And it came to pass that they would not hearken unto his words, and they're
reading scripture. Great.
Unto city.
January 6, 2021, that we were not just an empire.
Okay, so this is a quick overview of David Zuniga. It was the founder of Tactical Civics, and how he's created this and where he's going with it all.
Institution.
Can you do full screen?
1 second.
The closest I ever get to this is at the beginning of streams and when I have to do calls to action where I'm like, hey everyone, blah, 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 bits and sub, because that feels, it's my job, so I gotta say that shit. But other than that, no, this level of insincerity just sucks.
That we the people will sit by, drivers and PhDs, homemakers and house painters.
The video we watched already. Yeah, just zoom in on that YouTube video. That's good. That's a good way to do it.
Give America's small towns and states our first home house. We have that control.
Moms for America are big on book banning. They go to school boards and try and get all sorts of things banned. Ooh, classy.
That we used to have the world.
Constitution, I know some. That the 17 powers of government, the Constitution, I know some of you know this, but I didn't know this when I started working with these much more people than me, right? I put myself in a smarter room, right? I didn't realize that if it's not in the Constitution, they don't have a right to oversee that, okay? Which is awesome, okay? Number 2, grand juries are not the same as a jury trial. Jury trial is brought in by the court, grand juries brought in by the people. Super impactful.
No, the grand jury's convened by, like, the prosecutor or the sheriff's office.
This is what our forefathers intended for us. That's why they created a constitution that says, here's your power, everything else goes to the state. Number 3, I'm going to be on the militia. All right, former law enforcement, I can outshoot any guy. I'm starting the militia.
Oh wow, she's former law enforcement. I'm shocked, I say. I'm shocked. The white Christian nationalist trying to do extrajudicial militia stuff was a former cop? That never happens. Cops are so upstanding.
Here, okay? Militias are part of our Constitution. They are. Honestly, there are groups down in Southern California, or Southern...
The 3/5 compromise also used to be a part of our Constitution. I wouldn't consider that good.
Utah, and they call themselves committees of safety because militia seems to be a scary word.
Phoenix group. Another circle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the committees of safety, right.
So,
okay, go ahead, Jen.
So look at all of these great organizations that most of us already belong to, you know, that have these great pieces of truth. And yeah, if we divide ourselves from like, well, they think this, but really it's this, we're dividing ourselves. We're going to be like the Nephites who just
Nephites is a Mormon thing. It's one of the tribes in the Americas that they claimed existed. It doesn't exist.
Leave the earth. Like we will not be found left on the earth, and it will just be all the Lamanites and you know what I'm saying? It'll be all the bad guys left because they're winning right now. Now, if we believe the scriptures and all the prophecies of what's supposed to happen right before Christ is appearing, and we believe the Book of Mormon to be true and translated correctly, and that we are in the last days.
How could it be translated incorrectly? He had the golden plates in the hat. Obviously, it was done correctly.
We are that remnant. And I love that when I first listened to this, I was like, they use the word remnant. Of course, it comes from the Bible too. But that's what struck my heart right there. That one word, remnant. And I want to be a part of that remnant, right? I don't want to be one of those people who are believers in word only. I want to be in action, right? And I want to be bold about it, right? And this niceness, I'm just like, yeah, good thing Ammon wasn't nice to the guys he cut the arms off. But, you know,
Phyllis Filler says he had the Urim and Thummim, and you're telling me he might have fudged it?
Not that I want to go cut arms off, but, you know, the word militia sometimes scares people because
Yeah, it's scary. It's generally full of a bunch of redneck assholes who think they get to shoot whoever they want and call it patriotic. Yeah, people are afraid of militias. They're basically domestic terrorists.
because you know that's radical, right? That's extreme. That's talking, you know, Civil War kind of stuff. But this is not. This is nothing new. This is what governments have done forever and ever and ever. This is just...
Man, and it's almost like these days we have a standing army and also a National Guard, and we don't need militias. Please go away. Please ban militias. I'm tired of this shit.
The teeth. And this was my husband and I's frustration.
Remember when militia members in Michigan tried to kidnap our fucking governor? Remember when that happened a few years ago?
All along is we would go do all these things, and we were gathering and meeting great friends, and we were getting active in our civic duties, but then it's like, where's the teeth? And do you rely on the election system for the teeth? Do you rely on the legal system for the teeth? It's all kind of a lost hope. So.
If we go back to Joseph of Egypt and what he went through, we have been in slavery. We have been in this
Really?
cycle. But who are the two sitting at the head of the table when all the tribes are going to come back with their keys to the table of their tribes? But first we have to set the table. So Ephraim and Manasseh together.
Why are we referencing Joseph? Just because he was placed into servitude in Egypt and you just went, word connection, slavery, Joseph. You didn't even go to, like, the offspring of him and his siblings who later became, like, largely enslaved in Egypt in the Bible. You went specifically to Joseph? That's weird.
Can, Ephraim is more the patriarchal, Manasseh the matriarchal. In some ways, they have a healing. If you look at the two Jerusalems, Old and New Jerusalem, there's a male foundation of the Old Testament that was giving us kind of the structure of the law.
Lenin Cat with 40 bit says, it's not civil war or a revolution. We just want to use force and militias to take control over a government and force a new form of government where we have all the power and try and execute people. It's completely different, obviously.
And at Clan shows that was transferred with the Pilgrims, and they wanted to build a New Jerusalem. There was a covenant on this land, just a covenant in marriage from male and female in everlasting covenant. That's represented by the Y on the United States with the rivers coming together in the Great Mississippi. We can go back to Book of Mormon history and all that. But anyway, I just wanted to point out that the Ephraim and Manasseh have that. We need to claim that right, because most of us have that here with the time of the Gentiles coming to a close. We need to claim that right. And
if we stay in our own
leadership.
wards, we're not going to make those connections. It's going to be with other Christians and with Jews, right? Like this is broader, much broader.
Did you have something you wanted to say? I was just going to say, right where we're reading right now, in it talks about how Zedek prepared his people with swords and with scimitars.
So that's what.
All right. Enough of that. Trying to see if there's anything else I needed to cover on this today.
About how many people are aware of things. And I've started to realize that there's all these NPCs who've been downloaded into this realm, and that's kind of what we're around a lot of the times. Like all the times, you're like roaming around and you're like, meet somebody, you ask them a couple questions, you go, oh my gosh, an NPC. Non-playable character is what it is. And when you think of the movie Truman Show, he's sitting there and he's talking to his wife, and she starts like selling him an ad. And he's like, who are you talking to? So when you're talking to NPCs, it's kind of what it is. You say something like, oh my gosh, they're bombarding our skies. And they're like, man, it's kind of cloudy today. And you're like, wait, what? But they're bombarding our skies.
Scares the shit out of me how this idea of the NPC has proliferated conspiracy communities to the point that there is a general understood idea amongst far-right people and conspiracy theorists that there is just a group of people that look and behave like human beings, but just aren't human beings because they don't have the same delusions as them. That's not good. That's a really scary place to start with when there's an entire group of people in the country who think another group of people in the country are just straight up not human beings because they don't believe the same thing. Not good.
These guys, they're changing the weather. And they're like, what do you mean? It's supposed to be a cloudy overcast. That's what the weatherman said. I was watching Channel 7 News and they told me it was going to be cloudy. And then you go, NPC. The NPC is put in your path to drain your energy. Because when you go to have your conversation about whatever topic it may be, it just doesn't click. That's because they're an NPC. So they're draining your essence the entire time. You're better off sitting by yourself. You're better off sitting by yourself and meditating. They're just going to steal your essence. And everything is an energetic exchange. So if we allow that and we consent to that, that person will take away your essence. It's kind of just like sucking you all up.
Sons and daughters, this is Kat Espinda with One New Earth, and welcome to my show. Can everybody hear me? If I don't have a lot of people on yet, but if you could let me know if you can hear me. Sometimes it starts and it's not on, so to make sure.
Wow, Kat's audio's bad here. Does it improve?
And that's all.
No. Okay, her audio's real bad in that video. We're not going to do that one. Alright, let's do one more normal Sobsit video, and then I think we're done for the night. Also, I am so sorry. I'm not feeling very good. I'm getting like a bad headache, and I can only do one more video. I think I gotta move the patron show to tomorrow. I'm sorry. I know I've moved it so often. Please forgive me this one more time. I am so sorry. We will do the patron-only show tomorrow, and Sunday we will do patron live shows. I am so sorry, and I'll make sure they're more regular next month. I apologize deeply. Please forgive me. I'm hoping we'll get to watch the James Janney thing together at some point. That would be good. Hydrate, will do.
George Charles Henry 137.
Hi, I'm Brian Cowan, Reading Police Department. The reason I stopped you is you're going about 60 miles an hour on Pacelli as you passed me. Can I see your license, registration, and insurance, please?
I'm not in the process of conducting business.
Okay, we're not going to play that game, sir. So if you don't want to identify yourself, I'm just going to place you under arrest and tow your vehicle. Okay?
I'm traveling right now.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Okay? So I need to see your ID, and I need to see the registration and insurance on your vehicle, okay? And you're a grown adult, so you're going to make an adult decision right now.
Immediately talking down to him.
Okay? So that's up to you.
PP will be watching the James Janney video on his stream if y'all shills want to watch that mess. I haven't seen it yet, although I am excited to, but I was in chat a little bit because I was just scrubbing through to see like how much of it I was in, and oh my god, the live chat was incredible. There was me, PP was there, Marantz was there, John was there, Patrick, what's his name? He's a finance guy. I forget his last name, was in the chat. It was an incredible chat. It's like all the meme stock people were there talking about the documentary. It was fucking hilarious.
What do you want to do?
Yeah, here's the link to this video.
Okay, you're going to be placed under arrest. Step out of the vehicle. Out of the vehicle.
Hey, bro.
Patrick Boyle, thank you, that's his name. I've seen some of his videos. He's very good.
Edward 47, I'll take a 1025. Don't.
Try and fucking
I've already got some new YouTube subscribers from James's video, so that's nice.
Bro. Ow, that fucking hurts.
Don't.
Let me get out.
Don't. Get out right now. Undo your seatbelt. Undo your seatbelt and get out.
I'm traveling, sir.
Undo your seatbelt.
I'm not
And get
conducting
out of
business
the
right
vehicle.
now.
You are under arrest.
I'm not conducting
Get
business.
out of your vehicle. Out of your vehicle. Undo your seatbelt. Do you understand me? Do you understand me? Undo your seatbelt and step out of the vehicle.
Ryan, dude.
This was quick. He does not want to deal with the sovereign citizen stuff.
Okay.
Can I call me 85 Edward 47? I think I'm closer.
Undo your seatbelt and get out of the vehicle.
Fuck you, man.
Undo your seatbelt and get out of the vehicle.
Fucking break my arm.
I'm not going to break your arm. I don't want to. I want you to get out of the vehicle. Do you not want to get your seatbelt off first?
Fuck, bro.
Why don't you just get your seatbelt off and we'll do this
You're fucking
easier.
breaking my arm, bro.
No.
Oh, is he trying to
Dude,
run?
I'm not
You're under
conducting
arrest.
business.
You're
I'm
under
traveling.
arrest.
I'm not conducting business.
You're under arrest. Okay?
For what? Show me the magistrate.
Yeah, that's where
I've not seen Penguin yet, no.
we're going to go.
I plan on watching it at some point. I am a little annoyed that the director was like, oh yeah, we wanted to change his name from Oswald Cobblepot to Oz Cobb because Oswald Cobblepot's too silly, and it's like, you're making the Penguin show! Why don't you make a different show if you're embarrassed to be making a comic book show? I'm so tired of these people coming in and being like, oh yeah, I have a great respect for the comics, but also I'm embarrassed to be making a comic book thing. Fuck off!
You don't want to identify?
Oswald Cobblepot isn't even that weird of a name compared to a lot of comic book names.
Yourself, so we're going to do that. Okay? You don't get to do this, sir.
You don't either, bro. You don't get to go in my car and fucking take me out and break my fucking arm.
I'm asking you to step out.
I'm asking you to let go of my arm.
I'm not going to do that.
I can't reach my seatbelt.
You can do it with your right arm.
No, I can't.
You can do it with your right arm. So as soon as the other officer gets here, we're going to pull you out and put you in handcuffs, okay?
Right. For traveling, yeah.
Yep.
I'm not in the process of conducting business.
47. I'll take another unit.
Get off me, dude! What the fuck is your problem?
Don't.
Get the fuck off me!
Stop.
Get off me, dude!
Stop.
Get the fuck off!
Stop.
No! God
Stop.
damn it, dude! What the fuck?
Resist
What
me.
the fuck?
Stop resisting
Fuck you!
me.
I'm not
You're under
resisting shit!
arrest.
Fucking pull me over there, dude!
Stop
What the
resisting
fuck?
me.
No, dude, you're
Stop.
fucking attacking me, dude!
Stop.
No! Fuck you, dude! Get the fuck
Stop.
off of me! Get the fuck off me, dude! You stop! Get the fuck off of me, dude!
Is he gonna try and drive away? He's like legit trying to go.
Stop!
Stop.
You fucking stop!
You're not going anywhere.
I'm not arrested!
You're under arrest.
For what?
You're under arrest.
You caught me speeding. Give me a ticket so I'll be on my way.
Stop. I got you. Stop.
What are you guys doing, dude?
You're under arrest.
Fuck you guys. Fuck you. What the fuck? You're gonna smash my fucking face, dude! Stop resisting. And put me under arrest and fucking show me the magistrate.
You are under arrest. Got it?
What the fuck is wrong with you guys?
Here, let's get this
Does he not understand that being shown to a magistrate would be after he gets arrested? Seems like he doesn't understand the cop can arrest him.
This guy said, hey, he needs help, so I pulled over. So what do you need?
I need to be see the magistrate and show.
Yeah, you're gonna go to jail.
Show my victim. Where's my victim right now?
Me.
I'm just traveling.
Yeah, you're traveling to jail.
I'm not in the process of conducting business.
Perfect.
I'm a private American.
Okay, cool. Anything else? You're under arrest.
I'm ready to see the judge.
Yeah, whenever the jail gets you over to the jail or to the judge, absolutely.
I'll be able to see him right now.
Perfect.
Guy seems a little spacey. I'm kind of wondering if he's on something or if he's just like maybe got a mental thing, because he's a little this is just my subjective take, but he seemed a little like not quite all the way there, like the way he was talking to that cop. It could just be because he also got like quite roughly handled. He might be kind of in shock, in fairness, but he also kind of seems not not quite in focus, you know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, so thanks everyone for checking out the tactical civics stuff with me today. Very weird, very creepy to see the level of like weird Christian nationalist organizing that takes place. I'm sure we'll see stuff from them in the future. But yeah, let me get you the link to the James Janney video that I'm in. This is part 1. Hey, part 2 is coming out later in the week. So make sure you check out this video if you want to see more of me, along with a lot of other people that got interviewed for this. It's pretty good. Give the video a like, etc., etc. But yeah, let's see who we're going to rate on Twitch. Thanks, Anthony. Like I said, we'll do the patron-only live show tomorrow and Sunday. Again, I apologize. I've been getting headaches and been getting tired a lot lately. Don't know why. Don't know if I need to be drinking more water or not a water thing. I don't know. What's Cirrus doing?
The several articles we already pulled up.
Alright, we'll raid Cirrus. Alright, have a great night, everyone. See you soon. See you tomorrow for the normal stream and the patron stream. Have a great night, everyone. Bye.